Where's Thomas at?
I'm sure he's there.
Well, good afternoon, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally, and I mean literally, does not work. So I ended up redoing my set here, so the angles are probably a little different than what you're used to seeing. I used to have like two TV stacked and two TV stacked, and the webcam right there. Now the web camera is like right here, so you're kind of seeing straight on, like straight. Ooh, okay, that's probably, if I Love Weed is in the house, he's probably losing his mind right now. Okay, but the camera is definitely straight ahead on me. So, and I'm getting used to now looking around like this, having your head on a swivel. So bear with me. And unfortunately, I forgot to bring over from the main desk my sound effects, so that way we can bring in, of course, all the breaking news and stuff. But as always, it is Sunday afternoon. The Dallas Cowboys have done what they've been doing, which is nothing, absolutely positively nothing, and we're here to do some venting. So without further ado, let me say hello to our good people. And look who's the first one up there. That is Troy Daniels. Troy, how are you doing? And while you're talking, I'm going to grab the switchboard. Go ahead, Troy. How are you doing today?
Doing good, Mark. How about yourself? I know you're off and doing your thing, but going great. Looking forward to the USFL next week. Hopefully that happens. Hopefully the league is,
that's
is
honestly
exciting.
At least a little bit of football, some
Yep.
football compared to no football.
Exactly.
Well, that's going to be interesting. Now, I don't know if you guys saw that the XFL got a cease and desist order yesterday.
Hey, was a couple that are ordering, by Megan Rapinoe or something.
Well, what it is their logo, which is they have the X. It's like a modern style X where it's kind of like turn this way and turn this way. Well, let me get down here. Like this is kind of very similar to a women's organization that's called Together. So they even use the word together. So basically they're saying, you ripped us off. We appreciate that you're having women and stuff with the league and everything else, but you literally stole our logo. So cease and desist, and you got to get that thing together, do something different. So I guess it is what it is, but it is what it is. It's been quiet the last couple of days for the Cowboys since we signed the special teams fullback.
Yeah.
Anybody worried?
I wonder if they're going to maybe eventually go back to, the 90s when they used the fullback to their advantage and open up those holes.
Which
I think,
that's possible.
I'd like to see them do that.
Johnny White, shout out to Johnny White, and there's Angelica Barron. Angelica, what's up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I start worrying more towards like training camp. Once the draft happens and extra, you see what you need to fill in, and I mean, obviously, should they be doing stuff? They should have been doing stuff. I mean, that whole thing is a whole different story. But that's when I start worrying. I think is when we go towards training camp.
Well, we're going to do like we always do. Now, here's where I was thinking in my workshop. I was in there painting some of the pieces I've got to get out and stuff. Nobody's repeated in the NFC East since 2003, 2004. And you look at it from the standpoint of the Eagles are probably, I think, the best built team in our division. Of course, things are always crazy in the NFC East because anybody can end up stepping up. We saw the Eagles going from worst the year before. Jason Renfro, what's up? And going through and finally winning their first Super Bowl. So it's not impossible, but I don't think the Giants are going to do that. The Giants have no cash, and they are just decimated, and they don't have a quarterback. I still don't believe in Washington, and it seems like there's a curse against quarterbacks. I think Carson Wentz will be what Carson Wentz will be. I don't see Washington being the place where Carson Wentz becomes great.
I mean, Carson Wentz will give them a story enough to be in the headlines, and then he'll do his Carson Wentz thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the place where all good quarterbacks go to kill their career, I guess.
I used to say where quarterbacks go to die, and unfortunately, yesterday it turns out we had a few minutes ago a
Damn, Gina.
Update where what happened, because this whole thing was kind of like, we heard he was crossing the street. It's like, well, where was this car? Was he just out, and about without a car? And it turns out the rental car that he had ran out of gas, and he was trying to cross the highway to get to the ramp and go.
There'll be some lawsuits against that rental car company now.
I don't know how he can blame it on the rental car company. I mean,
yeah.
You sign the thing on there that says I'm going to bring it back with as much gas as was in there, and it's usually a full tank of gas, or you prepay. So, if you don't come back with an empty tank, you don't have to fill it up. So I don't know how you can. I mean, if it had gas to get out of the place, you drove it around enough that you ran out of gas. I don't know how you can blame that, but thinking that, where were you going to go? I mean, how far were you going to walk to try and get gas?
That interstate down in Fort Lauderdale, I was down there back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
That interstate, that is one of the most dangerous interstates in America, and one of the biggest. And I was down there with my uncle and my aunt and my cousins, and that.
Yeah, I live here down in South Florida. I mean, they basically have I think it's every place where you have your bad drivers, but you got your speed limit, and then everybody's like 20 miles over the speed limit.
Yeah, if you're doing the speed limit, you're getting run over.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and then obviously from being down here, you hear quicker stories. So I don't know if everybody knows it was like a dump truck types. And so it's just, I'm like,
Angelica.
Well, by law too, if you see a car pulled over, you're supposed to get in the middle of the lane.
Right. At least, yeah.
So
in my state,
I know firsthand. I got a ticket for that. It's called approaching public safety.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't get over, they can give you a ticket. So you're supposed to. If you see a car broke down, you're supposed to get over.
Well, see anybody in the shoulder, you're supposed to get over. Police, anybody, and so on. But you're early in the morning, and this is apparently it was as they put it, limited access. So like express lanes. So this is not just a typical places like say 95 in Fredericksburg where it's 3 lanes each way. You had 3 lanes each way, then you had 2 lanes express lane, then another 2 lanes. So you're talking about 10 lanes of traffic on this interstate, and we're talking about the corridor from New York to Miami. So this is one of the busiest corridors in the country.
Right.
Yeah, with the way those express things are made, there's like a barrier
between
go over, go through the express, go do another barrier. It's kind of one of those.
Yeah, Jersey walls. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so that's where you just don't know what were you thinking and all that. But his life, of course, has changed, as well as the dump truck driver. I mean, how would you like to be driving on that? And I tell you, I've got to add a story to this because, and my daughter can verify this. When we were coming back last April from, I went out and flew out, and my daughter drove her back in her Jeep. The last leg of it, we're on Interstate 81, coming through Tennessee into Southern Virginia, and that's through the mountains and stuff. And when you're going through there at night, it is actually really, really scary. But I remember we came up this mountain, and it kind of bends around the mountain, and we're going downhill. We saw this person, and you could see they were down the road, but you could see him like holding up a cell phone. And I'm looking at that, caught my eye, and I'm in the far left lane, and I see a person in the middle of the interstate. And, I pulled over, wide onto the shoulder here, and we're like, what the hell is this person doing in the middle of the road? Because it was just like that. And you're like, whoa. And I could see if a jump truck driver's there going 65, 70 miles an hour, all of a sudden somebody's in the road, you just don't even see them until it's too late.
There's no stopping.
There's no stopping. And I would hate to have been the people who had to arrive on the scene to deal with this, because, I mean, if you've ever hit a deer before, you understand what it's like. I mean, it's tragic, to say the least.
I kind of know what that driver's going through that hit him.
Yeah.
I had one of my previous jobs, I was a school bus driver, and one of my kids got hit after I let them off the bus.
Mm.
So, and you don't think there's guilt there, even though you didn't hit him personally.
Definitely going to be.
Yeah.
Angelica, you ain't kidding, because like there's Afton Mountain in Virginia that they've got the fog lights and everything else. It gets foggy like, once or twice a week, and they had like an 80-car pileup. This is about 20 years ago, but yeah, driving through the mountains in the fog, yeah, that's some scary stuff. So here we are with the Dallas Cowboys. I've got Primetime Phil. I got Troy Daniels. I got Thomas Garrett. I got James Nooks. And I got LJ, whose mic is muted. Yeah, you guys have turned into the Sunday afternoon diehards. I mean, you guys are like the ladies. You guys always showing up. There's Gina Thorne. What's up, Gina? And we got Terry Lee, just became a tailgate member.
Oh, yeah.
Terry, make sure you go to the website. Go to the community tab in there. There is a post in there. It's probably about 4 or 5 down. That is for channel members only. And so you can actually, if you want to go up, you can kind of join us in the conversation. But make sure you go to the Thrive site so that way we can end up getting the information to send you, of course, your rack, your Dallas Cowboy football, stress ball, as well as your set of 4 shot glasses. So we appreciate you being here. We got 2.5 weeks until the draft.
Oh, man, sneaking up there.
How many people think that the Cowboys – in fact, I'll do it as a poll.
Yeah, that would be a good thing.
What do we think the Cowboys are going to go? Who are we going to go, wide receiver? Are we going to go offensive guard? Are we going to go tackle? What are we going to do?
Wide receiver.
Obviously, it'll be the best player on the board at the time. That would be my answer.
I want O-line, but
Mark, if you think about it, we can go 4 positions: wide receiver,
linebacker,
lineman,
defense.
Everybody's forgetting linebacker. Everybody's forgetting linebacker because we need a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
What if LVE go down?
Yeah,
we don't have another linebacker. And don't give me Lou Gifford, and don't give me
it'd be Micah Parsons.
Michael Parsons he's an outside linebacker.
I'm just saying that's what it would be.
Yeah.
Didn't Bradley and Nye sign with the Jets? I thought I read somewhere.
Yeah, he's with the Jets. He signed with the Jets.
That's what I thought.
I'd say we need edge more than we do linebacker. I mean, we need linebacker, but I'd say edge is more of a priority.
You saw the San Francisco game. They need O-line. They need O-line.
That or D-line, yeah.
I think they've got an abundance of offensive linemen in this draft that they could probably delay it till the 3rd round if they really wanted to.
Jason Renfro. Jason, you're on. Man. I think I friended you on Instagram, didn't I? We do have Jabril Cox too. Actually, I'm not quite as worried about the linebacking position as I am the offensive line. We have to get a guard, and we have to get a good guard. I'm hoping that we don't do let's get a Tyler Badish, late in the draft and say he's a starter, and end up having a guy that's not quite there, because we've got a quarterback that we need to protect, and we need to open up some holes in the offensive line.
Would you be upset if some weird scenario they ended up going offensive line like 3 rounds, just to rebuild the whole thing with Tyron Smith having his problems and the center having his and the guard needing? I mean,
don't have a problem with that at all, because I'm old school. Okay, for me, a lot of people say, "Oh, we got to get a cornerback." Well, see, here's the thing: you could have Deion Sanders when he was a primetime player, right? Right? But if the rest of your cornerbacks suck, what good is that going to do? You're going to go against those other guys. And if you can't put pressure on the quarterback, if the quarterback is, got 6 or 7 seconds, he's going to find somebody that's open. If you've got a guy on the defensive line who can get to the quarterback and put pressure on him, it helps the linebackers, because now the offense has to say, well, we can't let, say Aaron Donald blow up the play. So we've got to put 2 resources against him, right? If Aaron Donald's got two guys that are having to block, then guess what? The guys on the edge, their job is a lot easier because he's pushing the pocket. If he's doing that and occupying two guys, the linebackers aren't getting hit by the guards as easily, right? If he's doing that and blowing up the pocket, the cornerbacks aren't going to have to hold up for as long against the receivers. There's not enough time for those plays. So to me, defensive line, you'll get a bigger bang than you would from a cornerback or the linebacker. And the same is true on the offensive line. If you give Dak Prescott 4 or 5 seconds to throw, I don't care who he has as receivers, he's going to find somebody open.
Yep.
And if we have an offensive line that can actually open some holes, even Zeke on one leg, if you give him a hole like we used to see for Emmitt Smith, he's going to pick up some positive yards. So, yeah, now you can get another receiver, but I think back to the Giants when they got Brandon Marshall, and everybody's like, oh, my God, you got Brandon Marshall. You got Sterling Shepard. You've got Odell Beckham Jr. Look at that firepower. And I was like, but what about their offensive line?
Yeah, Eli never had time.
He never had any time to get to him. So for me, if you're saying, okay, we're going to go offensive guard, we're going to take a tackle, and then we're going to get a center the first three, I'm okay. But to me, at least that says I got a plan, and I'm going to at least be able to run the football and protect my quarterback. I'd be fine with that.
To me, there's a scenario in there where it could happen,
Well, this is definitely a draft that there's a lot of offensive linemen. But
not to mention you still got a couple of good ones out there in free agency that haven't been signed too.
And it may be that the Cowboys are, keeping their powder dry. They're just waiting and saying, we don't want to sign a big free agent and lose out on a compensatory pick down the road. It's not maybe something you look at and say, okay, I think I'd rather have Bobby Wagner than maybe a 5th round compensatory pick, next year. But okay, I could say that is a possibility. But probably after the draft, when people start doing OTAs and workouts and they start relieving some of the veterans, the Cowboys will go in. They'll have, come June 1st, they'll have $26 million of cap room. They'll have some money, and they'll do what Stephen Jones does, which is bottom basement shop after the draft and try and fill in the holes. And who knows? They may be okay. They may be. Think about the NFC, where they're going to be this year. Do we look at the NFC and say the NFC is better this year than they were last year?
No, I don't think so.
I can see the Eagles getting better because they got all those first round.
I thought they were going to be way better with those 3 picks, but
but they traded back with the Saints. So.
But here's the thing with the Eagles, though. The Eagles aren't usually doing really great things with their early picks.
No.
It's funny because you look at 3 years ago when they drafted Charlie Dakota Whiteside in the 2nd round, and DJ Metcalf went the very next pick, right?
And when they should have gotten Justin Jefferson.
Right. Well, they got Rhaegar. They drafted Rhaegar. The very next pick was Justin Jefferson. This is what's crazy.
So what, his ass?
Both times.
Yes.
Okay, this is how, if you're an Eagle fan, you got to be like, oh, fuck. If they draft a wide receiver, it's like, who's the next guy that's going to be the superstar? Because the very next pick, I'm not talking down the road, the very next guy ends up being Justin Jefferson or DJ Metcalf. So I'm not scared per se about the Eagles drafting because they just have not done great things early in the draft.
The only thing that makes me nervous about the draft with the Eagles is just them getting draft picks because they're good at that. They're just not good at what they do with them. Picks.
Yeah. And there's a lot to that. Now, the thing is
see, Mark, that's what everybody's talking about. Oh, I'm scared of the Eagles. I'm like, no, they don't scare me because of what y'all just said. They don't know how to use their draft choice.
Right. In the same way we don't know how to use free agency, they don't know how to really draft that well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cowboys usually do a better job of filling holes than they have this year before the draft.
We're the salary cap champions.
Okay, so here's
no. Actually, we're not. No, we actually suck. No.
That's what I meant. Wait. We saved the cap. We saved the most cap.
No, but wait a minute. What other team do you hear that says, well, we can't afford to spend money? And
Nobody.
every year, okay, we don't sign free agents, right? But every year we're in cap hell and having to restructure contracts. How come that is? I mean,
I don't know why they have to say it. That's my whole thing is even if they feel that way, why are you talking like that? Like,
Exactly.
no, but think about how many big name free agents the Washington football team signs every year. They always, well, maybe not this year, but every year. Well, actually, they traded for Carson Wentz.
the Eagles seem to get
Landon
that.
Collins and Josh Norman. Have you ever heard Washington say, we can't afford to get somebody?
Nope.
Never.
Only in Dallas.
So let me ask you this: why is J.C. Treader still out there unsigned?
Good question.
He's sitting out there. Why can't we go get him for $2-3 million a year?
I think there was some, yeah. Well, I mean, that's a great price, honestly, 2 or 3 million. I think what they were originally talking about was that he wanted like 6 or 7 million, and
Oh, he's not going to get that.
yeah, and so I mean, you look at Connor Williams though. I mean, Connor Williams got 7, and he's definitely better than Connor to me. I mean, but his age and whether he's going downhill, that's another question. But I think he's a really good add-on to what we don't have.
Yeah, and then plus I heard somebody talk about his injury history too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you put him on a 1 year, $2 to $3 million deal. And
million.
Right.
Oh, there's Ava. What's up, Ava?
So you don't feel pressured into having to
put him on a 1 year rental. Put him on a 1 year rental. If he kick butt, this year,
then he's your man.
Then he's your comp pick.
he's your guy.
Yeah. But
I'd be signing him if he kick butt this year.
I'm still mystified. I understand. I think the Amari Cooper situation, I still believe that was a personality thing between the team, maybe with Dak, and where he disappears. Okay, I get that, but I'm still mystified on the Cedric Wilson one. That's the worst offseason move I think that they've actually made, because I look at it from Cedric Wilson actually had a lot better numbers than people actually realize.
Better than Gallup.
Yeah, he did.
He had much. I mean, Gallup was
58%.
58%. Completion percentage. Cedric Wilson was like 76. He averaged a full yard more per completion than Gallup did. And with Gallup, we know he's not going to be ready to start the season. It might be in the middle of the season. So why wouldn't you bring back Cedric Wilson on $7.5 million is what Miami paid him? And he was the second best quarterback in the NFC East. Seriously, he averaged 29 yards a pass. Okay.
I thought he disappeared a lot. That's my hang up on him. I think important games, he tended to like really kind of get the nerves get to him, because I think he was an amazing gadget guy. I think if anybody within this offense that was already here to be a Deebo Samuel type guy, that would probably have been your guy. So to see him go out the door, you don't have that gadgety kind of receiver.
Yeah.
But I see not wanting to pay him $7 million, as well too. But
he helped on special teams also. He was good there.
Yeah, he was.
That was true.
He still had 660 yards, in receptions. We're talking about Amari Cooper at 885.
So I look at James.
He
Washington
wasn't a starter every game either.
Yeah, you look at a James Washington signing to replace Cedric Wilson, not really to replace.
And
Cooper.
Yeah, we really and we're going to find out how good is CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb does have the.
I don't see that. See, my whole thing is I like CeeDee, and I think he's amazing when when it doesn't count.
I don't see him as the number one either.
In that sense, but
he drops to me passes.
Yeah, I believe that too. I think he does. I mean, don't get me wrong. He changes the focus part of it, and maybe that'll turn on, and that'd be amazing to watch. And he can do that, but I just haven't seen it in those years to be like, oh yeah, that guy's definitely the dude that's going to be going down there and getting those long catches down the sideline. And no, I don't think that at all for a moment.
Yeah,
you ain't gonna get that Des Bryant production.
No. Whoa.
Yeah, you need that deep threat receiver.
I heard.
And
that.
if he can become that deep threat,
I think I don't see all the busting on Simi. My whole thing is I think he'll be something within the offense, but I obviously don't think he's going to be this star. but I definitely think he could be possibly a possession type receiver. Just somebody that needs to go out, and because you have the other ones kind of drawing the coverage, that that could be your guy that you're going to. And nothing in college kind of showed me that he can't do that.
Well, here's the thing I'm trying to
wonder. He'll be one of those possession, situational type of receivers, like you said.
Noah Brown kind of.
He'll catch a few passes in situations where we would need 6 yards for a first down or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't understand the attachment to Brown. I don't get it.
I like Brown. I think they're just not utilizing him correctly.
He's inexpensive.
Yeah, he is inexpensive.
It's kind of like how
they could have used that money and a little more and gotten Wilson back.
Well,
yeah. To be honest with you, I don't think we were going to get Said back when he hit free agency. There was no way we were going to get him back.
Well, that goes back to my whole thing of, if you really like guys, why do you let them hit free agents?
Exactly.
Okay. If you really wanted, if you said Randy Gregory was the guy we want to get, why do you risk him going out there in free agency? They did the same thing to Amari Cooper. I still think it goes back to they don't really know how to negotiate. How do you go to D-Law and say, how about we'll get 1 year deal for $10 million? And then you go to $35 million guaranteed. I mean, that's the Grand Canyon in difference there.
That was ass backwards if you ask me, Mark.
Well, everything is. I mean, J-Ron Kearse, remember J-Ron Kearse, which I think is going to end up being one of the better, free agent signings that we did do because, we actually got quietly really good safety play, something we haven't had in a while. You know how we've always said we got to draft a safety, we got to get a safety. We're not saying that right now. We're like, okay, we actually have some guys between him, Malik Hooker, and Donovan Wilson. We're actually in better shape in safety than we've been in a very, very long time.
Yeah, I don't really feel that. I mean, definitely could be awesome we get a star in that position, but I don't feel that need like the past 10 years that like where the heck is it going to finally come from kind of feeling.
See, I would still, you know me, I was a nose guard. Okay. I know people are like, nose guard, what's that? Yeah, that's what it used to be called. Okay. You're the man in the middle. You are the key to everything and you get no credit for anything.
But you was in the heart of the trench.
Which is you get hit from every which way. Your job is just to be a battering ram and to hold the line. Right. That's all you are there is to be there to take abuse. And nobody notices you at all. And even when you look at the statistics, if you're a nose guard or a nose tackle that's getting like 4 or 5 sacks, then that's a great season. Because it's not designed for you to get any glory.
Roy Glover.
Yeah, it's not designed to do that. But that's the key. If you think about some of the worst games that we've lost where Aaron Rodgers has had time, he's able to look wide open field. There's like a chasm there. In 2020, having Tyrone Crawford playing tackle, and he's going out wide of the defensive end. And literally, quarterbacks can just step up in the pocket. They've got a wide field where they can look and say, oh, he's breaking, boom, or they take off. And that has been the problem over and over and over with the Cowboys forever. When you've gotten pressure in the middle, and I remember when Neville Gallimore, when we were playing the Steelers in 2021, where I said, oh, man, we got somebody. And he trucked Mike Pouncey and literally pushed him right into the lap of Big Ben. You're like, that's what you want to see out of your nose guard. For me, I would love to see if we got a big guy in the middle that could do that, that defense instantly gets better across the board.
You know what, Mark?
What?
Mike Pouncey never recovered from that either.
He retired that year.
He never recovered from that.
Yeah. That was like, man, these guys get.
Maybe he was hoping if he retired, they would think it's his brother.
Yeah, or something. But yeah, it's
no. They both retired after that year.
Yeah,
they both retired. The twins, they both retired.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, that's the biggest need that they have on the defense because, Quentin Bohannon, he was a late round draft pick. The biggest, he's big. But when I watch him, he's always so high. He's standing up, and you've got to have that leverage. You got to be low. You've got to be like a fire hydrant down in there. And that's not to say that he won't lose it. Yeah, that won't say that he might not, get it his second year. First year, your eyes are wide open. you'll get better. And that's where I think the defense actually has an advantage, because you're looking at guys that at least have been there for a year with Rod Martinelli, that they're not starting from scratch where they're having to learn the terminology. Now you start fine-tuning it and getting it better. I would love to have a better linebacker. I would have loved to have had Bobby Wagner in there. I would have loved to have had another premier edge rusher on the outside. But if you get the guy in the middle,
I like Neville Gallimore in there. It's just that he can't stay healthy. That's the only problem we're going to have with him. I think he'll be good when he's there.
I mean, I think that elbow was more of a freak thing. He wasn't that injured his first year. You know, I mean, you hyperextended the elbow.
I don't remember him being really available that first year. I'm not really.
Well, he didn't play much because he was a rookie that first year. And he played really well going down the second half. And that's typically what you see with most history is, you know, the first half of the rookie season, usually it's just like, I'm getting used to this. You could even say Micah Parsons got better, you know, as the season went on. You could look and say, like Anthony Brown, the first half of his rookie year, he was terrible. But the second half, he actually played probably the best football of his career that second half of his rookie season. And I think Neville Gallimore was the same way. He didn't get that much playing time early on because we had from Minnesota was playing. We had Don Terry Poe and all that stuff. And then it was finally like, we got to get rid of these guys. And they started playing in the second half of that year. And that's where I thought he was going to take off. But unfortunately, hyperextended that elbow, which was kind of freaky. Oh, man, we got Hawk in the house. Uh-oh.
And just imagine, Mark, if he would have never gotten hurt last year.
Oh, the defense would have been markedly better.
And Michael probably would have gotten that sack record, too.
Michael would have probably gotten that sack record if D-Law actually hadn't come back.
Yep, and that, too.
I'm just saying. I think he would have gotten it because he wasn't far away. I mean, it was only a sack and a half. You know, before the 4 games before D-Law came back, he had 6. And so he wasn't on that edge like he was. And I still believe that you're better off with him being an edge rusher.
Don't forget, we still have Quentin Bohannon in there. He can become a beast if he wants to.
We hope he can. He's got to learn to stay low. And we also have OC, who quietly had actually a really good year for a rookie. OC. You know, he's got great hands, having been a former wrestler. That's going to be able to hopefully take another step. Because let me look at some of the statistics here, because OC actually had a great season, but nobody, you know, you kind of forget about him.
I liked him in there, man. I liked him across that line. Osa Digizua.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, Mark, if you think about it, we could quite as it's kept, we could probably have the best set of interior linemen in the league.
Dan Quinn, yeah.
So
yeah, good rotation right there. I mean, honestly,
that's a good rotation.
And that's what they did in Seattle. In Seattle, there wasn't like any superstars, you know, on that defense. It was a lot of guys that they could interchange with and keep rotating fresh guys that are in there. They had the length, they had the speed, and they had the motor to get upfield.
And if you think about it, back in the 90s, when we had that defensive lineman by committee, most of them were defensive interior linemen that we were rotating like that. Because you had Russell Maryland, you had Chad Hennings, you had
Tony Casillas.
Tony Casillas was there.
Okay, so OC, you know, as a rookie, had 2 sacks, 36 combined tackles, 21 solos, 15 assists, 6 tackles for loss, and 11 quarterback hits. Which, and people will look at that. If you've never played or really understand football, you're going to look at that and say, what's that? That 2 sacks? That's nothing. But no, you're talking about the interior defensive line. This is not like an edge rusher. See, an edge rusher's job is every play, get upfield and try and go for the quarterback. Defensive tackles, you've got to hold space, you've got to stop the run and all that. That's actually pretty good numbers for a guy who was rotating on the line. Chauncey Golston, again, not exactly chump change. He was actually, I think, a good pickup in the 3rd round with that extra pick that we got from Micah. 1 sack, 32 combined tackles, 14 solos, 4 quarterback hits. You know, he's, you know, a guy you can spell on the defensive line, got a little bit of experience from there. So it's not.
I don't think he was allowed to even try to flourish, though. That's the thing, Mark.
Yeah, that's what I said. And as a rookie, and this is where, there's always a couple of guys that you don't know anything about that all of a sudden take another big leap. And you're like, wait, where did this guy come from? And, it could be like Josh Ball on the offensive line. We could all of a sudden see him step in and get an opportunity, ends up taking another level. How many people thought that Terence Steele would end up being our second best tackle on the team going into last year?
Not me.
I remember Miss Jackie. Miss Jackie was ready to push him off a bridge. She's like, if I ever see him start a game again, oh, hell no. But he took a major leap from his rookie year where he was thrown to the wolves and, came back and all of a sudden, having to fill in because Lyle Collins wasn't there. And to me, the worst thing that happened was Lyle Collins came back and, Terrence Steele gave up that right side. I feel confident with him as the right tackle right now.
When we played against the Chargers, everybody was talking about, oh man, he's going up against an All-Pro and one of the Bosa boys.
Mm-hmm.
He punked him out.
Yeah.
And and that won the respect from everybody. And and it's been history ever since.
All right, so here's where this is kind of interesting because Neville Gallimore, so we're talking about him, of course. He ended up playing in 5 games, started 4. And so if we say, well, just the first game wasn't a whole lot. His numbers were 1.5 sacks, 13 combined tackles, 5 solos, 8 assists, 3 tackles for loss. If you equate that out to the whole season, then that's like 9 tackles for a loss. That's like 6.5 sacks.
The only problem we had with him was he couldn't stay healthy.
Well, he got hurt in training camp.
That's going to be a hang-up.
Hyperextended elbow, but when he finally did get back on the field, for 4 games, that's actually not that bad in numbers. I'm just saying.
I hope he opens it up this year. I really do, and there's no injury to him. This, because if he can keep injury free this year, there's no telling what Gallimore could do.
Yeah.
Dorrance Armstrong had 5 sacks as a backup. So
right, and that's again another one of those ones that everybody's been screaming about. Us losing Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory did have a lot more pressures, but Dorrance Armstrong didn't get as many of the snaps as Randy Gregory did. So you look at that and say, okay, maybe between him and Dante Fowler, Fowler was on a team that didn't have much of anything on that defense. And even if he was one of the better players on there, they could focus on him because there was no pressure coming from anyplace else. So, you may see him be another one of those guys who end up flourishing with Dan Quinn. Anybody? I'm actually not as worried about the defense as I am the offense.
There's a lot of positions.
I think the offense is what's going to be it. Can we get a healthy line for the whole year and keep the backups healthy? We need a healthy year for both.
That's key.
Nathan Henry's talking about Tristan Hill was a pick made by
oh my God, Hill! I forgot about Hill. Oh my God.
Well,
Tristan Hill's been
you talking about somebody who can't stay healthy. That's healthy and attitude is what you've been dealing with Tristan Hill. To think that we could have had Warren Thornhill after him. I mean, that's like the DK Metcalf for the Eagles. But be that as it may, he is there, and this is a contract year for him. You never know. In a contract year, this is like do or die. So if you get anything out of him, then that's better than what we had. So, I mean, we do have a group of young guys that are there. Like we said, we got Quentin Bohannon, we've got OC, we got Goldston, we've got Gallimore, we do on the outside. That's good. But I still say I'd still like to have one of those big experienced guys that are in the middle to, somebody that definitely can toe the line. If we could stop that's our Achilles heel is stopping the damn run. Let's be clear here. We have not really stopped the run in forever.
I think the biggest thing last year was that our defensive line didn't stay home, stay true to their blocks. They tried to do everything, which opened up those holes. I mean, they would leave their assigned, gap.
Ava, we still do have Armstrong. Yes, they re-signed him.
And, if we'd have kept those gaps where they were assigned to take, I think you stop the run at least 72% of the time.
Yeah.
And hold them to a minimum gain. But instead, no, they tried to do these fancy things where, we'll take the inside line or, the inside defensive lineman, and
your stunts and stuff like that.
Stun him. Yeah, the stunts. Get rid of the stunts. Get rid of the stunts. They don't do you any good. I mean,
I disagree with you.
I like them. I like
if they're performed correctly. Oh,
yeah, that's the key. If they're performed correctly, then yes, I say they're good. But Dallas last year really did not know how to do it.
They're all young guys.
Well, they're young, and you're talking. To be quite honest, to have a new coach with all of the different players that came in there, the fact that they played as well as they did is not the typical thing, And let's be clear here. Going into last year, how many guys out there would you say were great players that could start on other teams? You looked at it and said, well, there's still question marks on Randy Gregory. I mean, as much as we think that he is like, a superstar, still talking about a guy that only has 16 sacks in his career, and he's 29 years old now. D-Law has been downhill from where he had 14 and a half sacks. You looked at Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch. Did you say that, those are great linebackers anymore?
We're on the live camera.
Okay. Oh, there's Hawk. What's up, Hawk?
What's up, Mark?
Man, you passing the weed, buddy? Yeah, you passing it? It's from the left-hand side?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. We're having our vent session here as always. Last weekend was a lot more fun being here with you in town and being at the autograph signing show. But
everything else downhill. Yeah.
Molly Greens, Molly, I was at my mama's house yesterday, and like George Washington chopped down the apple tree, I chopped down the apple tree at my mama's house. Okay. And I've got some pieces of apple from my mama's house that we're gonna make those ashtrays for you out of. I'm actually going to send you two because I actually have a different idea than the one you showed me. So you getting two ashtrays. Although I don't recommend smoking unless you're passing the Dutchie.
How's Mama Holmes doing?
Mama Holmes just turned 81 years old.
81. Wow.
81 this past week. She moves. Look, I tell you what, my mama still gets up on top of the house putting up Christmas lights and decorations and stuff. Two stories. Has no fear. I'm telling you, no fear. I don't know where she gets it. It's like, Mom, I need that energy that you got. But she's
Christmas.
She well, not just Christmas, but my dad, he's doing all the plants and stuff for the garden and stuff, getting the ready and stuff. He doesn't go to Home Depot to buy his he starts his seeds, putting each one in a little thing and starting them under the grow lights and stuff. So, he'll get them out there. My mom will plant them and harvest them and can them and everything else. That's the way you live, and I guess that's why they're living as long as they are. Going back to the defense, when you looked at our safety situation with us, did you look into going into the season and say, "Oh man, we got we're improved in safety"? Did anybody? We were saying Malik Hooker coming off of an ACL. Achilles. We thought that Donovan Wilson was going to be really good, but Donovan stayed hurt the whole season. And Jaron Kearse, he's a journeyman, right? And then you looked at the cornerbacks. You said, well, Diggs had a pretty good second half of the season, and we still got Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis. There wasn't a whole lot of talent if you were this time last year looking at that defense to see much of anything. We were like, if we could just be a top 20, can we be a top 20 defense?
And you watch some corners leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what Diggs does this year again.
Mm-hmm. I am too.
Does the line concern you guys?
The defensive line?
No, the offensive line.
Oh, hell yeah, the offensive line, man. That keeps me up at night.
I think there's only one or two positions I feel more comfortable in the sense, like Zach Martin, obviously you kind of feel good on that spot. Steele, I think he's definitely better than what Collins was last year. So, that feels good about that.
I'm not confident in Tyron Smith anymore.
No, I'm not.
I don't know how you can be confident in Tyron Smith. You know he's going to miss.
He tricked me last year.
Yeah. I mean, the first half of the season, you were like, okay, Tyron is back. But then once he tweaked the ankle, he was not that great at the rest of the season. And that was the moment that the offense went from being, great to it seemed like everything happened. Because it wasn't, and I'm not going to try and put it all on Tyron, because you had Zeke tear the PCL. You ended up then having, not long after that, Amari getting COVID, and then CD got the concussion. He missed time. And we had to reshuffle the offensive line, and we all of a sudden now said, okay, maybe Connor McGovern should be benched for Connor Williams. Connor Williams should be benched for Connor McGovern, but Connor McGovern couldn't get to the second level and get to the linebacker. So we kept trying different lineups on the offensive line. Then Tyron Smith might come back, and then, oh, no, it's not quite. So when you had that much turnover, that offense was going to be a lot different. Oh, and Dak and his calf, too, as well as his shoulder. So we ended up having a lot of stuff in there that dropped that offense. The other thing with the offense, I'm sitting here because I'm trying to understand, what is our offense identity going to be? Because we heard something that was interesting and kind of piqued my interest, saying that Semi was going to be kind of a hybrid wide receiver tight end. So I was like, are we doing something innovative here? Are we creating a new position? And then this week we end up getting of course, a fullback. So now I'm kind of like, huh? So
do you think with that fullback though, do you think they get, rather than using a tight end or offensive lineman as a fullback, you got a true fullback that knows what he's doing for the blocking scheme that might open up things for Zeke?
Or that may be the thinking there. But gotcha, Marlon Green's a cheerleader. But here's my other thing on this, and I've asked DMV this: what is our identity?
I don't think we have one just yet.
That's the problem.
I'm not sure.
We do everything good, but we don't do anything great, right? And so at some point, I'm sorry.
If you remember, Mike McCarthy used the fullback in Green Bay.
Yeah.
With John Cole.
You more in the division, Mark.
Huh?
You can ask these guys, who scares you more in the division? Honestly.
I actually have to say the Eagles do. And see, for me, this is what, and my philosophy would be this: before you can count on doing anything else in the rest of the NFL, you got to make sure you win your division. The thing you got to worry about the Eagles the most is basically they're a running team, right or wrong. I don't think Hurts is going to be a 400-yard passing guy ever. Okay? They're a running team. You got to be able to stop the run. So for me, that's why I'm saying I'm looking at that nose tackle where I can get that pressure in the middle, that I can occupy space and things like that. I am building my team to make sure I can shut down the run first. Because especially when it comes late in the year, come the playoffs, the Cowboys can't stop the run. That's me.
Mark,
but the Cowboys will get a wide receiver in the first round. We know that.
Mark, you got a point there because, when it get late, it's going to get cold. You're going to have teams going to be running the ball in the trenches.
Mm-hmm. John Jones.
And you're going to need that.
And that's what we never have every year. We never have that. We never have that. So you have to look and say, what has killed us in the playoffs? Being able to put pressure on the quarterback, because Aaron Rodgers always has time to throw against us, and we can't get other teams off the field because we can't stop the run. It's not freaking rocket science.
If you think about it, that was what killed us in the San Francisco game.
Yeah.
We couldn't get out the field on third down. We was making stupid mental mistakes.
You mean like Randy Gregory
I just
tackling?
think everything that
you mean like Randy Gregory tackling an offensive lineman?
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about that.
The penalties.
I think every single thing in the season came up.
They talk about, Dak Prescott, he threw the ball to the referee. How about Randy Gregory tackling an offensive lineman and not getting us off the field on third down? How about that? Anybody?
How come you want to
And the
blame?
bad part about it is, if it not been for that penalty, we would have gotten the ball back.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, and guess what? Then we wouldn't have had only 40. It was third down, and we had stopped them except Randy Gregory tackled the offensive lineman. We got a 15-yard penalty. They got a first down.
Because we would have scored if we would have gotten the ball back.
That we would
If
have.
we would have scored, we would have took the lead and probably would have won the game.
That's what I'm saying. You know, I know that's one of those what ifs, cans and buts and all that and sour grapes and stuff. But
woulda, coulda, should have.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Let's see, Dr. Football's in here. Penalties are not the reason the Cowboys lost. I have to, you know what? When you're the most penalized
one of the reasons,
when you end up, because you know
one
what,
of the biggest reasons off the Cowboys. Yeah,
I have seen so many times, because I remember Aaron Rodgers had in the one of the last games, or maybe it was the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers before the half ends up doing this Hail Mary pass, and I'm watching his center literally tackle a guy. I mean, bear hug, take him to the ground. It looked like a WWE move, and I'm like, where's the flag on this? I think I posted it on Instagram. I'm kind of like, hello? How come they get away with it? And if you get that call, that's 7 points that they didn't get.
I remember that because it was David Irvin who got held.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. That was all over social media. It was on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It was everywhere.
The Commanders scare me. I don't know why, but it's just something about Carson Wentz, man.
I think you smoke too much weed, man.
Carson Wentz. No.
Just think about it, Mark. You said it the whole time. They need a quarterback. Quarterback away.
Yeah. And guess what?
That was before they lost
Chase Young back.
Hey, guess what?
Anymore.
He's not the one that's going to the quarterback. I'm sorry. Carson Wentz is not the guy.
Yeah, the weed is good. Good weed, but got nothing to do with the weed. I just think Carson's a good quarterback. What's the record?
I don't know. Again, you got to stop smoking that shit, man. You got to stop smoking that shit. If you believe that Carson Wentz, I'm sorry. No. You didn't watch too much ESPN.
Do you know the record between them playing each other?
Wait, playing who?
Carson Wentz versus Dak. Like, what's their record between each other?
I think it's like 5-2.
Dak owns Carson.
Okay. Okay. Look. You're talking about this guy, right? Okay. Carson Wentz, the guy who the last 6 games of the season never had more than 1 touchdown pass. That all they had to do was beat the Jags to get into the playoffs. That you're now thinking that he is like God. Come on now. Carson Wentz. Sorry.
Wentz gonna do good on the Colts, then I don't think he could do good on the Commanders.
No, I'm sorry, buddy.
I can't during the year, but
give you that one.
He's the reason why it kind of went downhill.
Is where your career dies as a quarterback.
I think he's a contender, though. I think he's definitely a contender, but it only lasts for so long.
I'm sorry, I can't give you that one. I can't give you that.
They got to fix the offensive line.
Which tight end's going to be on this team?
The beginning of the San Francisco game, it was a discombobulated mess.
Yeah. San Francisco, I ain't mad at. I mean, San Francisco came in and they kicked our ass. I mean, there's nothing more that you can say about that than
Debo kicked their asses.
Yeah, Debo did. Right now, Debo is mad at San Francisco.
Yep,
Mark. And I'm gonna tell you another thing too. We can't be having these slow starts either.
Oh, it's all the
right
time,
about that,
man.
100% right.
Well, I tell you, I worry about not having Michael Gallup to start the season. You know, we're going to be in a primetime matchup to start the season.
Yeah, Thursday night game.
Mm-hmm. You know, it'll be a primetime matchup. I mean, we started out with Tampa Bay last year.
Might be against the Rams or something like that.
I think it'll be against the Rams.
Yeah.
Because the Super Bowl winner usually starts it off on Thursday night.
I love Weed says, it says, Hawk, I'll send you the good stuff next week. Okay, express mail it.
You know, and I can see that.
Don't do that.
and then plus, if you think about it, Los Angeles is a Dallas Cowboy town.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Because you got more Cowboy fans in LA than you do Ram fans.
Yeah.
I'd be curious, out of our games last year, how many of them were we 3-and-out for the first 3 series?
I'll have to go back on that one and look at that and do some research on it. But
that's why I say, like, a couple of those things, like the slow starts, and you get the penalties, and then you have, there's just a lot of the offensive line not blocking, the tight, Dak maybe not making all the reads at times. There's a lot of little things that eventually just added up, and it really, honestly, if you look at that San Francisco game, that sums up the season right there. That of all the stuff that went wrong and the different things that you weren't doing, or they weren't, the play calling by Moore, or even just the, they just didn't execute. I think that was the biggest thing. I mean, some of the plays were there. I mean, the Cedric Wilson pitch to Tony Pollard was there. It's just it didn't execute.
Yeah.
Yeah, an offensive line coach, an offensive coordinator that's not worried about a head coaching job during the biggest game of the year for the Cowboys would be nice.
And you really look at that game, the offensive coordinators going against each other for that job, and the San Francisco one, gets it. I mean, right there, there's, that game right there probably, decided who got that offense, who got that head coaching job.
Yeah.
But how much time did he take away from game plan to practice interviews?
Could be true. True.
I have a real good feeling about our defense this year, though. I think they're gonna be lights out this year. I hope so. I think
a lot of good pieces.
Hungry.
Well, I could see the on this draft, just like we did last year, where we drafted all pretty much defense.
I would love to see that.
We're gonna do the same thing for the offense.
Guard, wide receiver, then
center, tackle.
See, if they go wide receiver at any point, you need somebody with attitude. I think that's what they're trying to look for. Somebody that has,
dog in them.
Guy Moore.
Swagger. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the reason. A big reason.
More sense in the first round. I think it's an offensive tackle. We need a.
Damn, Kevin. Kevin Edwards said he'd take Tyrod Taylor over Carson Wentz. Damn.
Wow.
Damn.
Really?
I'd take a ham sandwich over him. That's just me.
That's bold.
I hope we don't draft a receiver in the first round.
I don't want that. No.
I don't want a receiver.
But that's the Cowboys. That's the Cowboys, though. That's the kind of stuff that they would do.
That would be bad.
In a very deep wide receiver draft.
If Olavi's there when they go to draft, that's their take.
Yeah, there's certain people that if they do drop down and they do pick them, you're just like, yeah, I get it.
Well, okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate and try and play on the other side of this. Here at least is the flip side. If the Cowboys were to take a wide receiver in the first round, okay, with the way this draft is, if we are to believe that there are a lot of linemen in it, right, and that there's a lot of defensive linemen in it, that you should be able to get a good offensive lineman even into the third round, would it actually be the worst thing in the world? Because if you look at it and say, I always say in the first round, you're going to have probably 4 left tackles taken. The first top 4 are going to be gone without a doubt. The best 4 wide receivers are going to be taken out, right? If there's any quarterbacks, you're going to have a couple. Hang on for 1 second. You're going to have a couple quarterbacks taken out.
Okay.
Edge rushers, they're going to get 4 of those taken out. But guards, usually it's not very many guards are taken in the first round. It's kind of like safeties. This was my philosophy years ago when we drafted Tristan Hill. I said, if you want a safety, you can get one of the best safety prospects in the second round. And you look at the safeties that were picked in the second round, there were a lot of great starting safeties that were picked in the second round. So if you are, hey, Stacy, how are you doing? So if you say, I'm going to take the best receiver in the first round, you can still probably get one of the top 2 or 3 guards prospects in the second round. I may not be mad with that.
Are you talking yourself into?
I would like that.
I'm just saying.
You want a third round rookie starting?
Third round rookie starting where?
As a guard.
No, I said take a guard in the second round.
We have a 4th round quarterback as well.
I'd say take a guard in the second round. Terence Steele's my starting tackle. He was undrafted.
He was undrafted.
He was undrafted.
Take their fourth back, yeah.
Right.
But he improved a lot last year. Terence Steele improved a lot.
I'm just saying, here's the argument. Generally speaking, guards aren't always taken in the first round. Maybe one or two at most. So what I'm saying is you can probably get the second best guard in the second round.
True.
Okay? You could get probably the best guard at 24, but you may actually be overpaying for him. See, in my mind, actually, in a perfect world, if somebody wants to move up to 24 and I can move back 3 or 4 spots and get me an extra pick, I'm doing that because then I can say, okay, I'm going to get me a first-round offensive lineman. I'm going to get me another offensive lineman in the second round, and now I got 2/3 or whatever else to work with where I can say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a flyer on one of these receivers and these edge rushers and things. I think you're better off getting more picks because it doesn't seem to be that we're top heavy with super talent where you say that is a career, guy that you want to get. I don't think there's a whole lot of it. I don't know that there's a big difference between 20 and 32. Am I wrong?
No.
Mark, I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a Cowboy fan last night on Facebook Messenger, and I told him, I said, man, this draft is so stocked with offensive linemen and wide receivers that an NFL team can draft none but wide receivers and offensive linemen.
And restock the cabinet. And that's what we need.
That's just how stacked this draft is.
Mm-hmm.
This draft is unpredictable too, I think.
It is.
It's it's a March Madness bracket. You can fill it out, but you're still gonna be wrong.
It is.
You
have a whole bunch of Dallas Cowboy fans pissed off on draft night because
we always are.
Certain players who they had going in the first round, it's not going to be there.
Well, yeah, I mean they do this a lot. I mean, a couple of years when they did that LVE draft first round, that threw me off because I didn't even know who he
everybody
was.
That threw everybody off.
I heard that morning from people that basically said that was the guy that they wanted was Leighton Vander Esch. And they were targeting him. If
then
he was
heard
there,
way more than I did. Wow, that was
that he was going to be the guy.
You wonder.
Well,
I've already said it. I don't think Dallas is going to stand pat at 24. I think they're going to either trade up to get who they want, or have trade it to whoever wants it out of the second round. I mean, you got what? Chicago's sitting there at 39. They don't have a first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So if Chicago comes up for 24, we've got, we take 39 and whatever else they have. You've got teams in the second round that don't have that first round pick.
Yeah.
It could be an enticement.
I think is it 8 teams that have multiple picks in the first round? I think.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. So, if you're Kansas City, you're reloading. I mean, you got 2 number ones. If you're the Eagles, if you could pick, you could be reloading your team and your roster and stuff.
And Miami got 2 number ones, I think.
Yeah.
And they need that. They're really bad.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the draft to pick or draft by rounds. Chicago has 39 and 48.
Mm-hmm.
If they traded those to the Dallas Cowboys for their 24th,
yeah, you do that.
Oh my gosh, Dallas has what, 3 in the third round at that point?
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, you could pretty much build a good team in that second round.
Well,
you don't need the first round.
Well, for me, it's the only thing you worry about is that number 1 wide receiver role.
Yeah.
To me, that actually tight end too. I'm still not sold that Dalton Schultz is the guy.
I mean, there's a lot of tight ends that can be there in the mid. I mean, there's a lot of good tight ends, but again, there's every position. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. So,
but it's again, if you get the offensive line fixed, there's a lot you can do with that offense with a good offensive line.
Great offensive line, all of a sudden, Sprinkles is the man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think if Chicago is really hurting, which they are, they probably.
Lola's concerned about you, Hawk. Hawk, are you okay over there, buddy?
I'm
Stick it
fine.
in the head.
What was like his heart choking
He's
over
gonna ask us
there?
another crazy question, like, he's like, "What about Minshew, man? You think Minshew is the guy?"
Oh,
Like,
Jesus Christ!
Oh heck no, not Minshew.
I've been
I think
seeing,
it's better than it hurts, but yeah.
you know, I've been seeing people saying, "Oh, we should trade for Baker Mayfield." I'm just
Oh
like,
my
what?
gosh.
What are you on crack?
That guy's has been hack.
Mark, if for some crazy reason, if Kansas City wants to trade down and give you a first-round pick next year, would you do that or not? Or you want your players this year?
This year.
I need my players this year, but
Yep.
I mean, what's he given other than next year? I mean, they have to give us more because obviously they're contenders, so they're going to have a late round first pick. I don't want their first round.
right.
Would that mean?
Yeah, and you know the thing that still mystifies me on this one is we were 12-5, 12-5, and you would think that the Jones would say we're close. Let's just add a couple of people here to try and see if we can get over the hump. That's what mystifies me more than anything else.
I think the problem was that you needed to add everybody back again as well.
Well, you
too.
did.
So many.
You did, but again, okay. And I'm not saying that these three players would be game changers for us, but I just want you to understand that everybody out there is looking at it from the standpoint of the salary cap's going to blow up. That's why everybody's gotten creative with kicking the money down the road. You can take Von Miller and his cap number for this year. You can take Bobby Wagner and his cap number for this year, and you can take Desarius Smith. And all three of their cap hits this year equal the same price as Dalton Schultz, $10.9 million.
Yep.
And you know, so in my mind, if you're saying, as Jerry Jones has always said, just let me know how big a check I need to write, are you saying that $10.9 million a cap hit was too much?
Like he doesn't write the checks anymore.
Are you actually saying? Because to me, if I had put those three players on my defense with what I had right now, I think that you got one of the best defenses in football. Even if Bobby Wagner and Von Miller take a little step back, I still look at that and say, Von Miller, even though he was injured last year, still had 9 sacks to Randy Gregory's 6. I look at that and say that defense would have been lights out.
You could have got Von Miller for $8 million, right?
Well, no, Von Miller got paid more than that, but the thing was
not Von Miller. I mean,
you mean Bobby Wagner? Yeah,
Wagner.
Oh,
Wagner,
man.
I think, went to the Rams at $6 million this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, Los Angeles got him cheap.
no, actually, I think his cap hit this year is only 4. His cap hit is only 4.
Was it only 4 this year?
No, actually, no. It's actually 2.5 for this year. Von, yeah, let me double check, but I think actually
I thought it was 6 this year.
No. And that's what I'm pissed off about, because they got him cheap.
Yeah, because even next year's his numbers for the next couple of years are not bad. So wait for it. His cap number for 2022 is $2.5 million.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
How is that even
Okay.
possible?
And then next year's cap number is 12. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it worst comes to worst. Look, this is where you look at this and say, this was a deal that you shouldn't have been able to refuse, because his cap hit is $2.5 million this year. It would be 12 next year, right? Worst case, it didn't work out. You cut him, and it was only a $7.5 million hit. So the way you actually look at this is say, worst case is I can experiment with him, and it'll cost me at most $10 million for a year.
Who can we get now? That's the question, though.
Yeah, you're not getting anybody at that level. But at this point, the thing is, go to the draft, see what you get. You know, teams are going to get some players that they didn't think they were going to get, and they're going to be able to say, you know, this guy is expendable and that guy's expendable, and we're going to get rid of him. And in that second wave of free agency, you'll actually have $26 million worth of cap room, you know, minus the rookie salary. So you'll still have about $20 million, and you could actually get some players there.
You still got Collins coming back.
The only true free agent linebacker that's out there is Anthony Barr. That's it.
Yeah,
that's a good one
at the moment. But you will
At the
have that
moment.
second.
Thank you,
after,
Mark. At the moment.
Yeah, at the moment. You'll have that second wave, come June, when teams are starting to shed some, and also in training camp. So, what we see right now, I don't think is the whole – the cake's not completely baked yet.
The problem is they're barely even preheating the oven. They're not even doing that. It's like,
they will. And again,
room temperature right now.
But they never do. We're acting like this is something different. They never do.
No, not surprising.
And I bet you if we went back to last year's videos right now, we'd be having the same conversation. I think we could just change the date on it and it would feel the exact same way.
We'll have the same conversation next year too, in next year's draft.
We're talking about special teams in.
Javon Jones said, "Do you build around Dak or Micah?" You build around both of them.
Oh, okay.
I mean, why wouldn't you just? Oh, okay. We're not going to do anything for the offense. No, I mean, you in a way you've kind of already started building around Micah, or you're building. We got Micah, and we've got some pieces that are coming around. I think bringing back Jaron Curse, because here's the thing that people don't realize. Yeah. I think actually that again, he ended up doing he called the plays, which enabled Micah Parsons to just basically focus on the assignment and get into the quarterback's ass. So now you've got the field general out there, and you can basically start playing games with Micah Parsons if you've got, if you feel like, okay, we're okay with Armstrong, we're okay with Fowler on the outside rushing, and D-Law doesn't get hurt. You can say he's our wild card if you've got the linebacking situation taken care of. If you feel comfortable with Van Der Esch, you can put him on the weak side and have him chasing things down. You could end up having him as a Mike linebacker and cheat him up on the line to come up between the guard and the center gap. There's a lot of things that you can do with him with that speed and that strength.
Oh, yeah, definitely a lot of good puzzle pieces there.
And you got to think from him being a rookie that the step he should take, as long as let's hope that it's not a Chase Young type of situation where, he regrets and gets injured. But I think he is on a mission.
I'm interested to see. I mean, the fact that a lot of the NFL linebackers tend to get bigger and stronger, I think that's because when you look at him and you see him take on these offensive linemen, he's not as big as them, but man, he got some power behind his moves. It's crazy.
He's great with leverage. His hands are outstanding, and speed kills.
Yeah.
He can leave them flat-footed where, boom, they can't make that move. I was a small nose guard in college, but I was quick enough. If I had to take on the double team, I'm getting launched back into the secondary. But I could do like a jab, step, and rip, where you're basically stepping the opposite direction of where you're actually running. The center ends up stepping with you, and then you're dipping the shoulder and ripping the arm and coming across his face. And most offensive linemen that were real big couldn't match that speed, and they get left in the dust. And see, that's the kind of stuff that Micah can do. And if Michael starts learning a few more moves, oh, man, he'll have their head on a swivel, and they're just going to be, blocking at dust because he'll just go right past them. And that's what's going to be interesting to see with Dan Quinn. And I think, let's be clear, I think Dan Quinn coming back this year was huge too.
Yes, it was.
Big, yeah.
You guys think if Dan Quinn would have pushed the Jones to get Wagner, you think it would have happened?
I think he was pushing for him.
I think he would too. I think so. Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense with Stephen Jones that it just didn't work out. It's like he hasn't signed with anybody yet. What are you talking about? That hasn't worked out.
Maybe Dan Quinn was holding his cards to wait to ask for something more.
Yeah, that's the one that I think we're going to end up regretting, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Would you have preferred Wagner for $8 million than Van Der Esch for $5 million?
I would rather have Wagner, than Van Der Esch for $1 million. Yeah. You have a guy there with Wagner that can actually teach Parsons, and there's not very many linebackers that can actually teach him with you actually hurting his development. Mm-hmm. And Wagner definitely one of those type of guys.
But not only that opens up, if you looked at it and said, okay, we've got Bobby Wagner, that now our defense, the only other real hole that you look at and say, if it were in a perfect world, is if we can get a big run stopper, but you would say it's not necessary. Now you can say, yeah, we can take everything and just draft offense. Let's get the wide receiver that's the best guy that's going to fit our system, whatever that system is. And let's get the offensive line fixed. It would have plugged one of the holes in the necessities that needed to be filled.
Is Andy Dalton coming back, though?
Is who?
No, he's signed with New Orleans.
Andy Dalton.
Yeah, he got signed by New Orleans as a backup.
The Saints got him.
Why would we
Jameis
talking about Andy Dalton?
Yeah,
I think he meant Dalton Schultz.
He owes him money. That's why.
Well, Dalton Schultz has got, I think, a degenerative hip. And they ended up cutting him because
you're talking about Jarwin.
You're talking about.
That's Blake
Jarwin. I'm sorry.
Dalton Schultz.
I'm gonna say something racist here, okay? But all you white guys look alike. I am forever back saying Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin because they're so much alike, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dalton was our franchise tag guy.
Yeah,
I always thought they were like a copy and paste type of tight ends.
I mean, they really are. I mean, and Dalton Schultz is he's franchise tag, so
they need to work.
We'll see if they work out a deal and get some more cap room on there, or maybe they're just like he's the guy for right now. I mean, but $10.9 million is what the cap number is for him. They've got till June 15th to get that done.
After that, he's a free agent again next year.
Yeah. And that might not necessarily be a bad thing. The Cowboys have not had
a
lot of success with long-term contracts.
Oh, okay.
Could we wait another year then to get like a tight end, like elite tight end for like a draft like next year?
Well, this year's the year that there's a lot of tight ends
in the middle. Yeah. I mean, there's like 3 or 4 of them right now in the middle of there
that you good to get.
Could be starting type of tight ends.
Right.
I like that tight end from the University of Virginia.
Oh yeah, Woods, big giant guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That dude, he's a beast.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
Can you imagine Jordan Davis on this defense? Oh my God,
man! Listen, don't bring up my fantasies. Okay, don't bring up my fantasies, man. Okay,
just imagine that.
I would say something. I don't want Mark being mad at me.
Go ahead, say it. Go say it, Thomas. I ain't gonna be mad.
They got Jordan Davis going to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
See, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. That's a Baltimore type of
it makes sense because Baltimore have always been known for
big defensive linemen and great defense. Yeah.
Right.
They don't care that they just re-signed Campbell.
And then on top of that, if Baltimore do draft him, he could be there with Calais Campbell who could teach him.
Yep. Yeah, you think about some of the guys like Tony Siragusa and stuff that they've had back in there, the big, ugly, nasty mother humpers. But
Sam Adams
is another one. But yeah, and guess what? Their linebackers always flourish because they've got those big guys there.
Right.
Who watches CBS on YouTube?
I'm sorry, that broke up.
OD Nada.
They were talking about Jordan Davis might possibly being a bust in the draft this year. Whoever picks him up.
I mean, that's possible. Anybody could be. I mean, you can look at Giovanni and Clowney and say Clowney has never lived up to the hype that it was for him. I mean, he came through and everybody was like, wow, look at the speed and the size and everything else. And he never really lived up to it. I mean, he's been a decent player, but he's not the guy that was the number one pick in the draft.
Yeah, he's lived off of that one play.
Mm-hmm.
That one play. I remember that play.
That one play against Michigan.
Yeah. And so, yeah, anybody could be a bust. You just don't know. But he at least has the tools. And you think about some of the guys that have had tools. And I was sitting there thinking about Rolando McClain. And
I liked him.
Oh God! And
man,
my man liked to smoke weed. Came from Kansas City.
Ricky Williams?
No, David Irvin. David Irvin.
Yeah, David Irvin.
Guys that have so much talent and potential and just end up not having the mentality and the desire to put it in. Could you imagine Rolando McClain? That was my kind of linebacker because he was a thumper. He just didn't like to practice.
He had NFL Hall of Fame pedigree written all across his forehead.
All he had to do was just show up and play, okay? And he never had the drive. And you look at that and it's just like, why? Because it was always like, he's in the locker room lifting weights or he's not practicing this. But on Sunday, you're like, this guy, when he could go through, he could take on the guards and just knock the crap out of them. And you just look at that career that was wasted. So, yeah, it's possible that, the guy shows up and at the combine, gets that big salary, and I just don't want to do this. I mean,
he probably did that through his whole career and kind of just made his way. He didn't have that like Mamba mentality,
Yeah. And then
Mark, and just think, if none of this would have never happened, what's the name would have never been drafted?
Who's that? Jalen Smith?
Jalen Smith would have never been drafted.
Well, I think if we actually held on to Anthony Hitchens, that Jalen Smith probably would have been. Because that goes back to Stephen Jones. Oh, he's too expensive. But Hitchens was a guy who could play any of the linebacking roles and didn't get injured much. And that's where you looked at it and said, why can't we keep on to guys like that? To me, that's Cedric Wilson now. It's kind of like, these are guys that have done good work for you, that stayed healthy, and but the guy that's injured, hey, let's go ahead and get the long-term deal done.
It's in that middle right there. It's that if you're not a star and you're not, desperate enough to sign with us, we don't
want you. Yeah,
exactly. And those are usually your backups, your role players.
David Wiley can't wait to start cooking. Yeah, it's less than 3 weeks there, buddy. Yeah, so that's what that never makes sense to me. But everybody, it seems like, is on the hospital payroll for the Cowboys.
Hey, Mark, you should do a mock draft with everybody here.
Don't like that.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what.
Hey, if you actually bring it up, and
we'll do. I'll tell you what. Let's do a mock draft next Sunday. How about that?
That'll work.
Because it's 6:22. We got 8 minutes left here before we get out of here, and then so everybody start thinking about their mock draft.
Let's do a mock draft leading up to the draft.
There you go.
A week before the draft. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at the Cowboys over the last 2-3 years, they've been a walking mash unit.
Yeah, because we keep signing guys that are injured and have been injured in college.
Yep.
Jalen Smith.
I think that Jerry Jones thinks that that's the way to get to. I mean, and in some regard, you can say, well, we got a guy who has first-round talent if he wasn't injured. This is going through and buying the scratch and dent refrigerator.
Scratch and dent.
Stacey, how you doing? I'm sorry, you haven't heard too much from you today. How you doing today?
It's testosterone in this Zoom meeting. Just too much testosterone, so I'm bringing the estrogen, the feminine side of things.
All right, so now it's getting kicked up a notch. Shout out!
Don't make me text Tracy to get you back in order.
She's calling you out there, Mark.
Now let him say something. Now let him say he knows better. He knows who's running the show.
Damn, Gina.
Okay.
You didn't hear him say a word, did you? That's right. He knows.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Wasn't me.
Hey, Shaggy.
Oh boy. But yeah, let's plan on trying to do a mock draft then next weekend. I'll work on it this week. It's gonna be a rough week coming up. I got a lot going on this week, but actually, is next Sunday Easter Sunday?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Are we doing? And next weekend is the debut of the USFL too, right?
Yep.
I think so too, yeah.
And Mike's like, taxes are due too.
Taxes are due, yep.
Damn, it is crazy. It's going to be a crazy week.
It's good that they scheduled the USFL right before the draft because that'll get us back into football leading up to the draft.
Mark Hutton.
And it's good that they had it scheduled like that.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
the XFL is coming back too.
Yeah, the
Supposedly.
USFL starts next week. I think, Mike, you were saying that all the teams are in like one city. All the games be
They're
played
in Birmingham.
Yeah,
Birmingham.
USFL is they're going to do a bubble for this season. They're doing a bubble this season.
And they don't have to pay traveling expenses, so that cuts down the cost.
Yeah, they're going to be in. I think they're playing in Legion Field down in Birmingham.
Yep, they're in Birmingham. They're going to use Legion Field and the I think the one at UAB.
Okay.
So they're using, I think, Alabama's field and UAB's field.
How long is their season?
It's going to go for about
8 teams, right?
18 games.
Yep.
Wow.
Wait a minute. 8? Oh, I thought it was only 8 teams.
There's only 8 teams, but they're planning on at least
18 games.
That's a lot of game playing, or a lot of time to play.
That means you're playing everybody like 3 times.
I think what's going to happen is I think after next year they're going to add more teams.
Do we need to do CPR? Do we need to do CPR on Hawk? Hawk, you okay over there, man?
Drink some water, Hawk. Drink some water.
Look, I love Weed. Said he gonna send you. He said put down that whack crack that you got over there. He's gonna send you some of the good shit. Okay.
I love Weed. Help that brother out. He don't know what he's doing.
There's 10 weeks in the USFL season.
10 weeks. Okay. 10 weeks and then playoffs. Okay.
Schedule right there, 18.
Damn, Hulk.
Oh, damn.
Look, smoking that blunt.
Hold on.
Yeah, he's smoking that.
Stacey, why you getting all the women turning on me and stuff? I got Avo up here saying dial one number on all of us who are going to be bringing Tracy's number. Damn. I used to come down here to get away from Tracy. Now y'all just got her trying to jump down my throat.
What's up with your boy Skip, Mark?
My boy who?
Skip Bayless, man.
He ain't my boy.
He's not a real Cowboys fan.
He ain't my boy.
Oh my God! You see the how he be down in Dak and everything, like Dak's. He's greedy.
He ain't my boy.
He'll do anything for views.
What's up, B. Clive?
That's what it is. I think it's all for views.
Yeah. Best friends with Lil Wayne. He's wearing his gold chain. Everything for views.
Getting their Mountain Dew.
Skip Bayless. He done made a deal with the devil. He done sold out.
Oh yeah.
Mike Fisher is the same way.
Yeah. Is B? I see. B. Clive, are you here?
I like Mike.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
What's up, dog?
How you doing this evening?
Man, I'm good, my brother.
Yeah, well, you out on the back porch? I see there.
Yeah, I'm out on the back porch. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I see the trees got leaves. So you must be further south, man. I see the trees got leaves and stuff on it. Looks like the weather's nice.
Actually, I'm in Pomona, California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
California, rep.
All right.
Yeah, we repping.
Sounds
good. I totally agree with you, Hawk. I think Hawk, Thomas, I totally agree.
Choking on the chronic?
Hawk is getting high in the mud, yeah. Because out here, I know how it is. Because I know we got legalized weed just like here in Colorado, and we get blowed. And I started it first, but then it was way too much for me, and I was like, "Damn, I'm not a young kid no more." I gave it up. Man, it's been like 2 years, man. I'm just done with it. Don't do it, Mark.
No, not me.
So, Mark, when we gonna smoke one, Mark? When we gonna smoke one, Mark? Me and you.
No, I'm not. No, see, you have to understand. I realized why I never liked weed so much, because, when I'm sitting and this is a deja vu moment. Yesterday, I was at my parents' house. I think it was my parents' house, and my dad was talking and stuff, and in my mind I had something else going on, and I was listening to him, and I was going through, and I was trying to find stuff, and they're like, "Are you listening to me?" It's like, "Yeah," and I verbatim said what he was going on. Joanne Gonzalez, shout out to you. And so my mind has always got like all these different things that are going on. If I eat like an edible or if I smoke weed or something, it's kind of like all of those things disappear, and it's only like whatever is in that moment, and it just creeps the fuck out of me. Oh, yeah.
Hey, there it goes. That's one.
That's the first one. That's the first one this week. Okay, I'm allowed one. Hopefully, Dad's not watching. But it creeps me out because it's just like, where is everybody? But that's just me, you know.
You know, when I hadn't smoked weed in like maybe 10 years. And then once they legalized weed, I ended up getting so high, I had to go to the store to get some auto parts. And I felt just the way you did, like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, it's like I came here for something.
And like you said, you know, when you make stupid decisions, you just make stupid decisions. Hey, Lynn, and by the way, hi, how are you? Mm-hmm. And just keep in mind, the estrogen attracts the testosterone. Mm-hmm. So you keep being on point because we love your comments.
Oh, thank you. I'm here to keep all of you straight, but especially Mark.
Yeah, keep him straight because Mark get out of hand sometimes.
I ain't hurt nobody. What is it? Oh my God. I don't hurt. You know what? I get more hate. Look, I love weed. He did a 420 super chat. Oh man.
Hey Mark.
Yes, ma'am.
With all this hate, I need to create a channel like everybody else do for you, right?
You know, I think people find out that they get the Mark Holmes hate bump. You know, if you put Mark Holmes as a piece of crap on your title, you're gonna get some views on there. You know, that's the thing that's crazy.
Yeah, but at what cost? You know, you're a miserable human being. If that's all,
why are you talking about me like that?
You know, Mark. I was gonna ask you about that. Does that guy irritate you that goes out there and does that?
Which one? There's quite a few of them out there.
There's some guy that has like a picture of you, but it like he embraces.
Don't mention his name because green. Yeah. I don't even bother with the. You know, it's like whatever. You know, actually, it flatters me in some regards because it's like literally. I am the driving force in your life that you literally spend that much time focused on me. So if anything, I should say.
And you don't care anything about them. So they have got to be miserable if they spend all their waking hours thinking about you.
Yeah. Mark, not only that, you are living not rent, but mortgage free in their mind.
Mortgage free. Oh man. Mortgage free. You know, but I tell you what though. Free mortgage. We brought up Randy Gregory and Rolando McClain. What I've always said in my life is I don't want to be the guy who's in the bar drinking and saying I woulda, coulda, shoulda, or I should have been this, or if it wasn't for, you know, this, that, and the other, I would have been something. You know what? I get told all the time, people say, oh, Mark's got this great studio. Well, I hate to tell you, the studio didn't fall out of the sky from the YouTube gods. They said, Mark Holmes, we anoint you. Here's a great studio. This came from me building and purchasing and investing in myself in it. The viewers being here. Yes, ma'am. No, yes, sir.
All that stuff that you built in your crib, I remember when you built it. As a matter of fact, you took us on a journey when you was building all that stuff.
Yeah.
I remember it.
And just it's like constantly evolving.
Patio.
You got different locations.
Just like on your patio. I remember when you built that. And that took hard man work for you to do that.
Well, that was kind of easy for me to do that kind of stuff. But it took the money is what it took more than anything else. But you know, the funny thing is if people would spend less time worrying about me and more time about what they're doing and what they can do to do better, they'd be in a better place.
They don't have that kind of time because they're every waking moment.
By that point, they'd be Cowboy fans.
Yeah,
Mark.
And you know what? I think that's how
play a song for
that's how I think a lot of mental health issues can be resolved if people don't focus so much on themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. A lot of people
have a question for you, Mark.
What's that?
The 70s. You witnessed the 70s, the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Be honest. Who do you think had the best team? The 70s or the 90s Cowboys?
I'm going to actually say the 70s because,
the 70s.
The 70s, because here's the difference of what the Cowboys are now versus what they were then. In the 70s, the Dallas Cowboys started out from being, the 60s being an expansion team. They found out how to get talent that other people weren't. They went to small black schools. They understand getting black players and stuff, when Washington, of course, was still segregated. They ended up being the first team to do analytics, where they ended up hiring this Indian mathematician who knew nothing about football and created using a computer to crunch numbers to predict whether a guy would be able to be a good player as far as the statistics go, and which helped them with the draft. They came up with innovations and wrinkles on their offense and defense, from the flex defense of taking a linebacker and Randy White and flexing him off the ball, because knowing his linebacking skills, he can see what's going on in the traffic and be able to make moves. They had the shotgun, of course, giving the quarterback an easier time because he's already back there and can survey the field. They had the shift. I don't see anything other than us getting players that are injured on the cheap. That's what we're known for now. So it was the innovations. Now, for the 90s, let's be clear. The Herschel Walker trade was a bonanza. Jimmy Johnson having the team that was in the toilet, being able to get all those draft picks those first couple of years, already having Michael Irvin in place, and they had the mentality of, we're going to go out there and we're going to get the best. We went out and got Charles Haley. We got Deion Sanders. Those were great teams, but I still say that the Dallas Cowboys of the 70s, that they were
70s great. Probably, yeah, because like you said, that was the first. They were the first team to take analytics, feed them into a computer.
Yeah,
they were the first ones to go out and scout these small colleges. Heck, I remember the guy they got from Utah State, who was an Olympic sprinter.
Bob Hayes.
Yeah, Bullet Bob Hayes.
But here's the thing, too. But see, Rayfield Wright was a basketball player. Rayfield Wright didn't start playing any football until late in his college, career. Yep. And so he was a better basketball player. The Cowboys drafted him for the first 2 years. He sat on the bench, and it ended up being that Neely. I think I think he's actually a Hall of Fame offensive tackle for the Cowboys as well. He got injured, and Rayfield actually got his first start against Deacon Jones.
Yeah.
Okay. God. That was the first game he played as an NFL player, was against Deacon Jones. And he played so well that this perennial starter, Neely, got benched for Rayfield Wright. So you want to talk about being thrown to the wolves? Your first game is against one of the best pass rushers in the history of the NFL, and you flourished.
Tell me something, Mark. What about what team would you put in the 70s against like the 92, 93 Cowboys, like straight up? Because that's what I remember. Because I was born in 73.
I mean, you have to look at as much as I hate the Steelers were,
I was going to say, you'd have to put those 70s.
The Steelers,
You'd have to put Terry Bradshaw's Steelers up there against the 92.
No, they had so many great players.
Are you serious? You think that way?
Dolphins went undefeated one year.
The Dolphins, yeah, but if you looked at the teams they played, there wasn't that great of a season. I mean, they were undefeated, which is true, and it's an almost impossible task. But you look at that team,
consistent.
that wasn't okay. They won, they were undefeated. You got to give them credit on that, but you don't look at them like the '85 Bears. They weren't that great of, if you were to take all of the Super Bowl winning teams and put them in order, they're not one of the top ones in there. They did something nobody else did, but yeah.
I'm old enough to remember how exciting that was back then. Though.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I love you guys.
All right,
have
man.
A great day. I have to get some food. My wife's coming home.
So I got to do that myself too, because we've actually gone in overtime here. But
all right, guys. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, but primetime Phil, I want to talk to you. Don't leave yet, primetime. All right, so
Mark.
Yes.
Take care, Tom.
Do you think that with everything that Deion Sanders is doing down there at Jackson State, that we'll have a little, since the other teams really aren't, giving them the time. You think that Jerry, you think that
they would be wise to develop that relationship? Yeah. Definitely. They're definitely, for historically black schools, they are beginning to get more and more talent and players in there, and they are definitely beginning to get more money and funding and stuff, and you may end up seeing, a renaissance of players that are going to be coming from those schools and things. It's actually very exciting.
Mark, that reminds me, was Ed Too Tall Jones from a small university?
I believe he was. I'm trying to remember where
Tennessee State.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he was Tennessee. Let's see.
Tennessee State University, TSU. As a matter of fact, the school is not far from where I live.
A player Grambling in the
no, TSU.
Jack, let's see, Tennessee
State
he
University.
Was
Tennessee State.
Tennessee State.
Yeah, he was Tennessee State.
Yep. All right, so good people. I want to say I appreciate y'all coming in and venting and everything. Oh, there's Amanda Brown. What's up, Amanda? You know who I didn't see tonight? I didn't see. Da-da-dunt, da-da-dunt.
Damn, Gina.
Where are you hiding? Damn, Gina.
Or Sugar Daddy.
Oh, Sugar Daddy. Oh, no, Sugar Daddy ain't in here? Okay. All right, so good people. I appreciate y'all all being here. I hope you guys tune in tomorrow night. We're going to be doing the drawing for everybody who donated for the Dak Prescott Faith Fight Finish charity. I'll have that piece finished tomorrow, and I'll have all the names put in the drawing for that. As well as any news on the Dallas Cowboys. Forgive me, I'm kind of tired. It's been kind of a long week, and, I'm getting kind of old and everything else. But I appreciate everybody being here, and as always, I hope you guys take it easy, and let's roll on out.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Here, ready to go. We got a key to leave, and here we have.
I saw your live. You were spitting, sweetheart.
Rayfield Wright.
Thank you.
I love your background.
You were spitting on it.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
We're up next.
Pass the Dutchie.
Mark.
Lean on nothing. we had to talk about that between me and you.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Mark.
Thank you very much. Rayfield Wright, how are you doing, man? I am doing fantastic. I am fantastic. If I could get that signed as well as the mini jersey that's up underneath of there too. Jobu's jersey. Oops.
Okay, where you want me to sign this?
If you could sign it right over in here would be perfect.